the Arts in Reading, PA. My name's Emily Teal. I'm the Special Audiences Programs Manager here, and I'm here to take you on a tour. Let's go! You like it? I'll meet you up on the 3rd floor. So altogether, GoggleWorks has 5 floors. Our 4th and 5th floors are dedicated to our arts partners. They're local community businesses that support the arts and have their office space here, like the Polish American Society, Berks Genealogical Society, and Berks Ballet Theater. Let's go check out the 3rd floor. These rooms are dedicated to our adult classes as well as our youth classes. This would be our auxiliary ceramics space, right next door to our painting and drawing studio. Along the walls here, you'll see work done by our studio artists. We'll get to visit them in a little bit. This room is the Wilson History Center, dedicated to the GoggleWorks history. So we're here on the 2nd floor. I did want to point out this fire door here behind me. We do have a few of them throughout the building, which are relics from when it was the original factory. So how it works would be that in the case of a fire, this rope here would burn, and you can see that it's suspended, there's a weight here. So the rope would burn, releasing the weight, and it would drop the door, slide down here, and section off one part of the building from being exposed to the fire. I was also told that they would like oil it or grease it up, so in the case of a fire, it would burn super quick. So this is just something pretty cool that was left from the factory. Let's check out the other studio artists here on the 2nd floor, and then I'll show you some other studios. So here we have our printmaking studio on the 2nd floor. This is our newest studio. It was built as a green space, so there's no solvents or acids that are used. You can see we have an artist in here working. This studio would have silk screening, mono printing, wood cutting, and etching. So here on the 2nd floor, we have the Schmidt Gallery. It's one of our 3 or 4 galleries in the building. So we're down here on the 1st floor. The majority of the 1st floor is gallery space. We have Cohen Gallery East is where I am now, and Cohen Gallery West. Right now in Cohen Gallery East, we have a show, Gravity and Other Fistfights by Mike Benavinia. Our shows typically are up in the gallery for about 2 months at a time, and then we rotate them out. And what's really cool is all the tracks in this room. We can change the layout pretty easily. You'll see all these panels here, they just slide. So we can change the layout for each show and tailor to its needs. Let's check out the other side. We're here in Cohen West. On exhibit right now are a few of our permanent collection pieces from past residents and visiting artists that have come through GoggleWorks stores. Let's head to the wood shop. Wood shop's located on our 1st floor down here. We're going to go in and talk to Luke Voitas, our wood shop technician.
All right, so today I'm here at the shop and I'm turning some bowls. Initially when I start turning, I have just a piece of tree basically that I've cut to length. I split it down the middle like so, and then this gets mounted on the lathe and I turn the outside. So at this point you can see I've already turned the outside, I've remounted it, so basically the piece of wood looks like so. And now I'm going to actually hollow out the inside. And this is kind of the fun part, the more exciting part of the process. I'm using what's called a bowl gouge. This is a rather large one. And I hold this on the tool rest. As the lathe is spinning, I just push it through the wood. I'm allowing the rotation of the lathe to actually do the work rather than forcing the gouge through the workpiece. Okay? So this is basically what it looks like. Lathe is on now. Just light pressure, rotate a little bit, and we start to make a cut. So I would proceed all the way down through the bowl, making cuts just like that. After I finished making my cuts, I'd come through and sand it. And when I do finish the piece, it will eventually end up looking kind of like so.
We have about 8 teaching studios all together here at GoggleWorks. Right outside our front doors is the ceramic studio, where we're going to go inside and see what Ben DeMott is doing. He's our ceramic manager.
Hello, my name is Ben DeMott. I'm Ceramic Studio Manager here at the GoggleWorks Center for the Arts in Reading, Pennsylvania. This is the fine ceramic studio we have here. Today I'm going to be demonstrating how to throw some mugs. So here we go. We have the potter's wheel. I have about 1.5 pounds of clay. It's wedged up in a ball form. I'm going to throw it down here on my wheel head. Start it up. My first goal is to center this mass of clay on this sort of spinning wheel head. And so things I'm going to do is I have a sponge here with some water. I'm going to place that in my palm, and that's going to serve to lubricate the clay as it's passing through my fingers and my hands. I'm going to position this area of my palm down along the side, and that's going to be this sort of the sort of fulcrum to kind of keep the clay centered along the sort of middle axis here. And I'm going to pull that clay in toward my palm and sort of bring it up. And it's a lot easier to center a smaller surface area than a big large one. So here, that's why I'm sort of bringing it up into this sort of tower shape. Push it back down again. And usually I'll do this a couple times just to make sure that we have all the air bubbles out of the clay. And also that the clay is nicely compressed on top of the wheel. At this stage, I will usually sort of bring it into what we refer to as sort of like a hockey puck shape. Once I feel that there's no longer any wobbling or resistance in the clay, I know that it's centered. This is also an opportunity to sort of clean up the wheel head, get any loose clay removed from there. At this point, now I'm ready to go in and establish the bottom of my cup. I'm going to bring my fingers right in the middle there and press down, leaving space for the bottom. And then what I'm going to be doing is bringing my fingers toward the edge of my palm to establish the wall. There we go. I'm going to slow the wheel down a little bit, and I'm going to start to pull up the clay. As I'm putting pressure along in between my fingers at the wall, it's displacing that clay, and as I'm moving my fingers up and the wheel is spinning around, it displaces it into making the clay rise and go higher. I'm going to compress the bottom of my cup here. Adjust the rim. At this point, if there's any alteration to the form of the body of the mug, I could do that. Clean up the sides, get rid of some extra excess along the bottom. Here I'm just going to be pushing from the inside out, and that's sort of going to kind of create more of a bulbous form at the bottom. Okay. Here we have it. Do is remove some of the clay, establish sort of a foot down there. And then what I'll do is I'll remove this from the wheel. I'll let it set up a little bit, and once some of that water has evaporated from the clay, I'll be able to attach a handle. I have some pieces of clay that I set up aside previously. I may bend that into a shape, sculpt it, alter it, and then attach that to the side of the mug. Okay. Pick this up, set this aside. There we go. Wait, no, put a handle on it.
We're outside here at Building 6. This is where we have metal smithing, fuse glass, stained glass, and flame working. let's go in and see Maggie Gallen. She's our warm glass manager.
Okay, so now we have a blob of clear glass with some white and transparent green over top. As the glass cools down, you'll see that the color change a little bit. Every color is orange when it's over 2,000 degrees. So I'm going to get this whole thing hot and get a bubble into it. I'm going to cap a bubble. I'm going to put air in it with my mouth and trap it with my thumb. So as this glass goes towards, or as the air goes towards the glass, you'll see it break that seal, and the width of the bubble, width of the glass should get bigger. There's too much color, so you can't really see through it. You should be able to see the bubble expand. Yep, there's a little one in there. I'll give it a little bit more. See how that got a little wider? All right, so now that there's air in there, I can hook up a blow hose to the end of the blowpipe. That way I can add air as needed while I sit at the bench and use the hand tools. Here I'm going to hang it, just to let that bubble stretch out a little bit longer. I'm going to make a cylinder-shaped cup. So first I'm going to start by cutting in a jack line. This is a pair of jacks. This puts a score line there. That just put a score line, like an indentation. I didn't seal off the air bubble, but I just enclosed it a little bit. That jack line will become the lip. So the next move is using this wet piece of newspaper. I'm going to heat up the bottom half of this bubble, let gravity stretch it into more of a cylinder shape, and then I'll use this newspaper to kind of make sure the walls are nice and parallel. I'm going to stretch this sphere into more of a cylinder right now. It's starting to stretch a little bit. I'm going to go back in for another heat and do that same move again. Now here's where I'll use the newspaper to control the walls. I'll give a tiny little bit of air through the hose at the same time. So I'm really not blowing very hard, and I'm also not pushing very hard. Just putting a little bit of pressure through there, and that makes the bubble expand to where I'm holding the paper. There's not a whole lot of squeezing or lifting at all. So, just to get you up to speed, what I got here is a little bit of clear glass on the end of a blowpipe and some white, some opal white, with a mix of blue and purple on top of it. So you can kind of see how it's kind of speckled a little bit. With the transparent blue and purple mix, we'll get a little more blue and purple as the glass cools down. So this is a solid blob of glass. I'm going to heat it up and put some air into it. All right, so I'm going to put some air in here and trap it in the mouthpiece with my thumb. You'll be able to see, you can't see through the glass because of all the color. You'll be able to see it get wider. As soon as that air gets up to the end of the blowpipe and into the glass, you'll see it start to expand and the width will get bigger. There we go. A tiny little bubble in there right now. And the glass is cooling down, so I'm going to get that back in the heat and blow it out some more. You can kind of see how it expanded right about that. And now that I have, hear me? Now that I have some air in there, I can hook up the blow hose. This allows me to sit at the bench and add air while I'm using the hand tool. So I'm going to let that hang a little bit, stretch it a little bit longer. Now I'm going to use a pair of jacks to kind of squeeze in that air bubble. This will become the lip of the cup. So as I blow, I kind of stretch that wall down a little bit. Tighten up that jack line a little bit more. There we go. That's a nice big beginning up shape of a wine glass. All I have to do is flatten the bottom. So I'll just use this little wooden paddle. And just give that a nice little flat spot. If I flatten it too much, that'll kind of lose that nice curve, which makes a nice wine cup. So now the shape is done, I'm gonna grab a punty. Alright, so I pre-made this punty. It's just a solid rod with a little bit of glass on the end. So all I have to do is heat that up a little bit and it'll be ready. So I just have to keep this hot enough so that it doesn't break. It will crack if it cools down too quickly. Alright, so here I'm going to stick this to the very center. Oh. Free from the blow pipe, that jack line is now hollow. So I can heat same tool, I'll just flatten that lip a little bit. Open it again. Flatten the lip. Open it again. You can kind of see how the angle of the jacks determines the angle of the opening, the wall. It's still a little too close, so I'll get hot and do that again. Too much, you put the blades on the outside, just kind of taper it down. That way it retains that nice wall that's slightly tapered in. There we go. Just made a cup. And I'll flash this one more time just to make sure it's hot enough that it's not going to break. I'll knock it off on our crack-off table over here and put it in the oven to cool down slowly. Here I can take a pair of straight shears and just touch that connection a little bit.